Hello, my name is Tiana Sanchez, and today we'll briefly be discussing some of the key aspects that I discovered in my research. The subject of my paper revolves around psychological trauma and the impacts it has on the developing brain. First off, what exactly is psychological trauma, and how is it related to the development of the brain? Well, psychological trauma is defined as the damage to the mind that occurs as a result of a distressing event. As to how this correlates would be by the number of ways a traumatic event or episodes of traumatizing experiences that occurs in crucial pubescent years has proven to produce both neural restructuring and behavioral alterations in their subjects in the latter. When speaking about psychological trauma and how it impacts the brain development, many have a tendency to immediately associate it with veterans. However, after my research, I have discovered that this is only one of the possible results of this category of trauma, and rather that there are a number of other possible triggers that can cause similar changes in brain structuring. Psychological trauma can be a result of both single or repeated episodes of traumatic experiences. The ones of particular interest in this paper would be that of natural disasters, physical, child sexual, and even verbal abuse. Some of the effects that I came across as a result of such exposures would concern the structuring of the brain. Specifically, some of the particular areas that were discussed within the realm of the study consisted of that of the occipital frontal cortex, the anterior cingulate cortex, and subcortical temporal lobe, and many, many more regions. Oh, and let's not forget to mention the immense role it plays in altering the subject's behavior post-trauma. When exposed to such traumas, the brain undergoes a number of disturbances in its developmental processing. For instance, according to the results that were collected post the Great East Japan earthquake, the magnetic imaging resonance was able to detect the matter volume in the right ventral anterior cingulate cortex and a decrease in volumes in the left orbital frontal cortex. Whereas in Tomada's 2009 study, he was able to document when his subjects were exposed to parental verbal abuse in the left subcortical temporal lobe, increasing in gray matter as a result. What this told us is that exposure to such abuse may interfere with the development of the left subcortical temporal lobe by delaying its development or attenuating the degree of pruning. As to how these changes exactly transpire to behavioral differences would have to do with the impact each region plays as an instrumental role in the brain's processing system. Here listed are some examples of behaviors to be expected as a result, but how exactly we can predict these behaviors will be by considering the different functions each part of the brain plays and the impact it produces as a result to damage. For instance, when we refer back to the results taken by the MRI post-trauma, it was seen that smaller ventral ACC volume may and can affect the subject's ability to process fear and anxiety, making these subjects even more susceptible to developing PTSD in the latter. Exposure to childhood verbal abuse may also increase the risk for development of personality disorders by increasing the likelihood that youths will experience profoundly maladaptive thoughts and feelings, such as mistrust, shame, doubt, guilt, and identity diffusion during their most critical years of psychosocial development. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for listening.